Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another predictions video. And in today's video I'm going to be predicting the Berlanga versus Mcrory fight. If you are new around here though and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do indeed like the video, and let's get straight into it. So going into this fight, Berlanga is 21-0 with 16 KOs and Mcrory is 18-0 with 9 KOs. This fight is a 12 round fight in the super middleweight division. Berlanga's last fight was a win via unanimous decision versus Quigley, and Mcrory's last fight was a win via unanimous decision versus Woodall. This is in Berlanga's home country of America. Mcrory is 35 and Berlanga is 26. And to speak a bit more about what I've just been saying there, so this, like I say, 12 round fight, super middleweight division, a highly contested division at the moment, a division which at the top level there's a lot of good top quality fighters around, and the winner of this is hopefully just going to go on to even bigger fights. And so it's a fight which it's pretty much got all to lose, everything to gain. Obviously Berlanga's coming off a impressive victory in his last fight with dropping Quigley 4 times and not ending up being able to get the stoppage in the end, but still a very resounding victory against a tough opponent in Quigley. And so he's on a good run of form at the moment. He's got momentum. He's now got the big backing of Mcrory and DAZN, and so at the moment everything seems to be going very well for him. And Mcrory, I mean, he's coming off a very good fight versus Woodall, where he did look good and he's deservedly earned this shot at a big fight. But this is a big opportunity. This is a big step up. This is possibly coming a bit too soon. This is him coming into the away corner where he's going to be at a disadvantage, and he's going to be having to really fight his absolute best to be able to get a chance of winning here. And the odds are most definitely stacked against him, but we've seen it happen many a times in boxing where the underdog, the clear underdog, has come through and won, and he would have to do that again. But we'll have to wait and see. And he's not really too unused to being the underdog type fighter. He's fought, I believe, in Germany when he fought, and he was fighting a German fighter as well. I can't quite remember the name of who it was, but he still managed to come through and win then. And so, like I say, he's used to coming to other people's home countries, hometowns, and going and causing an upset. And so possibly that's what he's going to be coming in to do here. Obviously he is the older fighter. This opportunity has come at a good point in his career, but he was kind of slower in his career, and he's not had quite the young kind of explosive break onto the scene as somebody like that Berlanga has had. But to speak about a couple of other fights, I just wanted to add a couple honourable mentions of fights on this card which in my opinion are just entertaining fights, or fights that I really wanted to talk about. I'm not really going to give too much of a prediction for these ones. It's just literally, like I say, in my opinion, fights that I'm interested in. So Rivera, Velasquez. Rivera we've had on this channel, so I thought I'd mention it. It's very nice to see him back on a big card and back on a big stage against a tough opponent in Velasquez, and I would like to see him put on a very good performance again, and hopefully he will be able to. And I just wanted to put some light on that as a fight, and hopefully anybody that sees this, they'll go and watch that fight as well. That's on the undercard. And of course, Cruz versus Zamaripa. I think it's going to be another shutout win for Cruz in my opinion. It's defending his international title, which he's already got after 2 fights, which is just incredible. And the way that he won it was so dominant, so destructive, was just amazing, to be completely honest. And he's still progressing through the rankings, and soon we'll probably end up seeing him in even bigger fights before he's even 10-0. And so the way that he's been going at the moment, it's so incredible. And the fact that Mcrory are just backing him so well and they're just so excited about him is really helping kind of build a hype and build a brand about him. And I think he's definitely going to be a big name in the division to come, and in the lightweight division / super lightweight division being so stacked at the moment as well. I think there's also huge opportunities for huge fights down the line for him, and everybody I think at the moment is following his career with kind of just a lot of excitement because of what could be happening in the future. But to go back to the main event, so Berlanga as a fighter, he's a very powerful fighter. That's kind of how he made his name originally. He was pretty much knocking everybody out in the first round at the start of his career. He had that one-shot KO power. We haven't really seen it too much as of recent, but it's most definitely still there. And the fact that he managed to drop Quigley 4 times, it's most definitely still there, that power. And he's a great finisher majority of the time. Obviously he didn't manage to get the finish in that last fight, but traditionally, typically, he is that of a great finisher. He has obviously, like I said, a lot of momentum at the moment, but I suppose as a fighter, he is a pressure fighter. He's a fighter who feints quite well. I think he's becoming a bit more patient, using his feints a bit better, setting up his shots a bit better than he used to. And I think with every fight, I am seeing improvements from him, and it's nice to see. It's necessary to see, and in fights like this, possibly you can get away with showing improvements and not being quite on the top of your game. But it's definitely a fight which you don't want to be overlooking the opponent in, and at the moment, you could possibly argue he may be overlooking Mcrory as an opponent, but we'd like to hope, and you'd like to hope not. He's got good punching placement. He can counter well off the back foot. He's not typically amazing on the back foot, and I don't think he does a lot of his best work off the back foot, but he can counter, and he's got power in them counters. He imposes his size well. He's quite good at getting out of danger. I don't think his movement's anything incredible, but I think he knows when to tie up, knows when to clinch, and knows how to reset quite well. He stalks you down a lot of the time, and that relentless physical imposing pressure is something which can be wearing you down as an opponent throughout a lot of a fight. He lets his hands go when you're on the invulnerable positions. He used to not really be too incredible at that, but I think as of recent he's been getting better at letting his hands go. He's confident, and of course with that power he can flip momentum realistically at any point. Even if he is on the back foot and he is struggling, he can flip momentum. The negatives about him, I mean, all the pressure's on him. I think at this point he is more than used to that, and I suppose, I don't know if that's a negative or not. Possibly that can fuel him for a fight even more, and so I don't think that's going to play too much of a factor. I think sometimes that he can struggle cutting off the ring. I think sometimes he does struggle with consistent combinations, but like I say, he is willing to let his hands go a little bit more now when he sees you in vulnerable positions, and he's improving on that aspect, and so I think things are getting better in that aspect. He's setting up his shots. He isn't always amazing at good doing it, but like I mentioned, I think he's improving on that, so I definitely have been seeing improvements, and I think it's going to keep going that way. Sometimes he can become a little bit one-dimensional at times, and he can try and force the fight and rely on his power a little bit too much, which is something which you quite see often with fighters who are powerful. They can rely on that, just rely on that power a bit too much, and just think it's going to get you out of all the problems. He needs to be willing to change his game plan at times as well. Sometimes he can struggle if he can't gain a rhythm, and if opponents are putting it on him and he's not physically being able to just kind of shove them off. He can be slowed down. He's not amazing, like I said, on the back foot, and he does tire as well at times, and it's something, there's a few things there which, if you're going to get to a world class level and you're going to be fighting at a world class level, it's not things that you necessarily want to be seeing overly. But to speak about Mcrory as a fighter, I mean, he's got a good reach, he's got a good size, so Berlanga, as the normally quite physical guy and the quite physical presence, and normally quite a big opponent to be facing, Mcrory is also that of quite a big opponent, and like I say, got a good reach, so they're both going to be used to being the physical presence and being the one that's in control in that aspect, but they're both going to have to compete for that, and that's what's going to make for an interesting fight. He's got a solid jab. Like I say, he's used to being the underdog. He's willing to dig deep. He creates openings quite well. He does well in close, changes levels well. He's accurate, sets up his shots well, and like I say, he's just in front of you quite a lot of times. He's quite good at closing the range if he wants to, or keeping at a range if he wants to. I think he does do a lot of his best work in close, and when he is changing his levels, and when he does kind of push you back a little bit, create a little bit of space in close, he does a lot of his good work from there. Negatives about him, I mean, he's not as big of a puncher as that of Berlanga. Obviously this is a big step up for him, like I've mentioned. He's not overly physical. I think he's the one who's used to just kind of being able to fighters just accepting being on the back foot against him, but he's not actually physically that dominant realistically. He can become sloppy when he is tired, and there's certain rounds where he can look quite tired, but then he can also look quite untired the next round and then look on it again the next round. But it is, you can see the tiredness creep in at times from him. He's been hurt a bit in the past, he's been stumbled, he's been hit with shots. He's definitely open to getting hit with shots, and when he has his chin up in the air and sometimes his guard can drop, he's definitely been hit with some big shots, and he has been hurt. He is quite open to the body as well. He can overcommit. He's not as fast. He's not got incredibly good defensive movement, and he does stand straight on when he is picking his shots, which, like I say, are quite accurate, good shots in close, but You know, when you're just standing straight on with chin in the air and not really offering much defensive movement with your hands quite low, you're more than likely that you're going to get countered. And like I say, Berlanga isn't incredible at countering, but I think he is probably going to cause damage if he's going to be countering. He's just basically got an open target, and you know, obviously he's the favourite for this fight, and I think that he's going to win via TKO in round 7. I think it's going to be quite an impressive display by Berlanga. I think this fight is going to play into his favour with somebody like Mcrory, who is going to want to come forwards but isn't going to be physical enough, and I think Berlanga is probably going to be able to bully him around the ring to an extent, and you know, be able to break him down, wear him down, and then hit some quite impressive shots going into the 6th, 7th round, and then be able to get the stoppage, like I say, that way. And yeah, I think it's going to be quite a resounding victory in that aspect. And then who we could go on to fight next? I mean, like I say, stacked division at the moment, huge fights available, lots of big options. Hopefully he goes on to a huge fight after this, and you know, fighters like Plant, Munguia, Pacheco, Mbili. You know, there's some very big options. Benavides even, like, there's some huge options for fights he could have, and you know, hopefully he goes on to fight one of them next on, and you know, with that big matchroom backing, we'd like to see that be the case. But that is it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like video if you did indeed like this, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.